What's up guys, Randy with Ace Tactical. Today we're going to be filming a gun review on the Palmetto State Armory Dagger. This is their full-size Dagger, so it would be comparable to like a Glock 45 or Glock 19X. It is completely stock. I just threw a Surefire X300 on the front and then grip tape on the grip. That was it. Everything else completely stock. This is how you'll get it from Palmetto State Armory. Oh, also threw on a magwell from I think SLR Rifle Works. But other than that, this is exactly how you would get it. In the next video, we'll be doing some modifications to this, throw on an RMR, Parker Mountain machining comp, and then do a comparison. But for now, we're just shooting it stock, see how it runs out of the box. I have put not a lot of rounds through it so far, but I have put about 250 rounds prior to filming this video. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll do a build drill on this target, NRA B8, 21 feet, and then we'll do some comparisons with other guns as far as my times go with it. Alright, so that was build drill. My reaction was a little slow, so my draw was a little slow. But first shot was a 167. Total build drill time was a 332, with first shot being a 167. My reaction was a little slow. If we go over to the target, I did throw one out into the 7 ring. Otherwise, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that one, me throwing it into the 7 ring. But a 332 build drill with the first shot 167. That was a cold start. Okay with it, happy with it. We'll run a comparison, probably do a stock Glock 17 for comparison. All right guys, now we have a Glock 17 Gen 5. It has Emeriglow night sights, Streamlight TLR1. Other than that, it is completely stock trigger, no grip tape, anything like that. We're gonna run again, build drill, NRA B8 target at 21 feet. All right. Stand by. I guess I didn't throw any into the 7. There's a line strike, but they're mostly grouped in the 8. I would like to have a better grouping than what it is right now. But first shot was a 152. First shot 152. Splits were 3-5, 3-5, 3-1, 3-0, 3-0. Total time 3-1-6. So a little faster. I probably could have slowed down, tighten up my grouping, get them actually in the 10 and 9 ring rather than out over here. But they're all within the 8 ring, line strike on the 8 ring, so it's still within standard, with total time being just a little bit faster than the Dagger. This is Glock 17 Gen 5 stock. So I'd say the Dagger stacks up pretty well, not to mention I was cold with the Dagger. Now I got to be a little warmed up. Take that for what you will. All right guys, now we have Glock 19X decked out with the Radian Ramjet afterburner combo, Surefire X300, Timney Alpha competition trigger, and then the more grip tape on it, Trijicon RMR 3.25 MOA. Just for another comparison run, we ran a stock Glock 17, now we're running something with some customization behind it. Marked up the target, marked up our hits on the target. We're gonna be doing the same thing, 21 feet build drill. This is the magazine. I don't think my gun locks back on this magazine. I think I need to change out my spring. I stuttered on it. Let's see. They're all in the 8 ring. I probably could have gone faster if I didn't have that stutter with my finger. Actually, no, one's out. One's in the 7 ring. But everything else is in the 8 ring. Probably could have gone faster if I didn't have that stutter. I think it was the second shot, yeah. So total build drill time was a 2.68. First shot being a 163, a little slower. And then the second shot I did kind of stutter on, so it was a 0.4 split. And then it was 1.517, 1.518. Total time, 2.68. Probably could have got closer to 2.5 if I had a faster draw and didn't stutter on that second shot. But that was a customized gun for comparison versus 2 stock guns. What's up guys, Randy with Ace Tactical. Today we're going to be talking about the Palmetto State Armory Dagger. This is their full-size grip. The upper slides are going to be interchangeable, but they run pretty much that Glock 19, Glock 45, 19X, whatever that slide and barrel length. So that kind of compact slide and barrel length. This is their full-size grip module, so pretty comparable to a Glock 45 or Glock 19X. I have my 19X over here as for reference. Very comparable in size, pretty much the same. The Dagger series is pretty much just a Gen 3 Glock that is very affordable for what it is. Very affordable. I think the upper part, the slide and barrel, threaded barrel by the way, ran me $285, and then this lower part was $60, so $345 for a complete pistol. It's essentially a Gen 3 Glock. It shoots very similar to a Glock. We'll go ahead and talk about that. You guys will see footage, shooting footage, and then let's go ahead and break down the gun real quick. Gen 3 Glock, pretty much all Gen 3 Glock parts are interchangeable with this, but for $60, you get a serialized frame and trigger, and this trigger is actually not bad at all. We'll go ahead and talk about that later when we get to the trigger, but for now, the trigger not bad at all. I like it better than a Gen 3 Glock trigger, not better than a Gen 5 Glock trigger. Let's go ahead and break down the gun top to bottom, as always. So starting at the top, and actually we'll just do the top and kind of the whole gun real quick. The color of the gun, I really wanted an OD green gun for a while now. So I hopped on the opportunity when I saw this for sale on PSA's website, because the price, you really can't beat it. $345 for a full pistol that actually runs really well. But starting at the top, it comes with these tall suppressor height sights. I would like them maybe a little shorter, but I don't mind them at this height. It's really not a bad height at all. Allows you to co-witness with your sights, especially if you're running something like a Delta Point Pro with that thicker base on the optic. This should clear Delta Point Pro. I haven't double checked. Definitely clears an RMR. The footprint is for an RMR. I do really like that on their website they offer either your rear sights in front of your optic or behind your optic. Me personally, I went with in front of the optic. I will say if you do get your rear sights in front of the optic, just know it limits what optics you can use, like SRO, and I think RMR HD you won't be able to use just because it kind of hangs over the front there, so it hits your rear sights that are in front of the optic. So if you plan to run an SRO or an RMR HD, get the rear sights on the back of the optic. I do plan to put an RMR on here, which I know some of you guys are gonna be like, that's crazy. You're gonna put a $600 optic on a $300 gun. But I plan to do some modifications to this and then see how it compares to a modded Glock after. But starting at this slide, they do a really good job. They offer front slide serrations, the slide lightning cuts right here. I don't know how much the lightning cuts actually lighten up the slide. It still doesn't feel heavy, doesn't feel light, doesn't feel much different than a regular Gen 3 Glock slide. So I don't know. It definitely shaves off a little bit, so it probably plays a part. The finishing that they did, that green finish, actually turns out really well. I was happy with it for the price. I will say the spring is pretty freaking stiff, that recoil spring guide rod. Pretty stiff. It breaks down just like a normal Glock, but that spring is pretty stiff. What I did before shooting it, I don't know if you'll need to, but I did it just because the spring felt stiff to me, was I went ahead and I locked the slide to the rear like so, and then left it like that for a couple days to kind of wear down that slide a little bit. I typically do that, or not that slide, to wear down that spring a little bit. I typically do that with any new firearm that feels oversprung. I'll just leave it like this, empty magazine, slide, rack to the rear to kind of compress that spring. All right guys, again, PSA Dagger, the stock suppressor height sights that it comes with. I'm not too sure what these sights are zeroed at, what distance they are. They're pretty freaking tall sights. We have a target down there, steel target. It's pretty far. I don't know. We didn't gauge distance or anything, but it's pretty far out there. We'll take 5 shots, see what we can hit. So 3 out of 5. I'll take it. So yeah, I was pretty happy with the slide overall. Optic cut, I like the finish. I like how the slide serrations has front slide serrations, rear slide serrations. They feel really nice. The slide lightning cuts look cool. And then you get suppressor height sights. So $285 for that, and then a threaded barrel. Can't complain at all. The threaded barrel itself, as far as I can tell, the barrel's pretty accurate, more accurate than I'm capable of shooting. So no complaints there. Most barrels are going to be more accurate than I'm capable of shooting and that most people are capable of shooting. Moving down from the upper portion of the gun, we'll talk about this frame. Before I put the grip tape on, the frame actually did feel really good. I think it felt better than a stock Glock frame. So very impressed there. The grip angle, to me, very similar to our normal Glock grip angle. It does have this finger groove right here, which I'm not a fan of finger grooves, but it didn't bother me that much. And then, actually, before we get too far down, since we're at the frame, let's talk about the slide release right here. The slide release, that would be one of my complaints about the gun. It's just, it doesn't feel like a very high quality slide release. It does feel pretty cheap. But again, what you're paying for, I understand. So I can't complain too much. I'm not a huge fan of this slide release. I'm going to be swapping it out for Cogwork slide release anyways. So no, not a big deal to me, because even if it was a regular stock Glock slide release, I'd be swapping it out for the Cogwork slide release. The other complaint, and this is actually the bigger complaint, is going to be the mag release. It's very stiff, very difficult to actuate. And then the magazine doesn't always free fall, doesn't always drop out right away. Sometimes I have to give the gun a shuck or rip the mag out. But it doesn't happen all the time, and I'm not sure. I think I have used I've used actual Glock mags, not just the Magpul mags. I haven't noticed it more with one or the other. And then the mag release is stiff. So I'm not a big fan of that. Stiff mag release, slide release feels cheap. Even the mag release feels cheap, not just stiff, but it feels cheap overall. So those are the two things I don't like about the gun. Moving down, let's talk about this trigger. I was actually a pretty big fan of this trigger for how much you're paying for the gun. I think it's a lot better trigger than a normal Gen 3 Glock trigger. I do think the Gen 5 stock Glock trigger is a lot better than this. A huge improvement over their Gen 3. But for this being a Gen 3 Glock clone, this trigger is pretty nice actually. You have a lot of take up, and the trigger is kind of spongy, but I don't really know how to explain it. The sponge doesn't bother me. It typically does in triggers, but in this one, not a big deal for me, because it has a pretty positive wall once you actually get to the wall and get through all that sponge. And then the break feels really nice, and the return spring is actually very positive, very strong. It does a good job of kicking your finger out to the reset point. So pretty big fan of this trigger, although I am going to be swapping it out with a Timney Alpha. Just because I'm going to be messing around with this, modding it out. The modifications are going to be way more than what this gun is worth. But I figured, why not? Let's mess around with it, get it to become a Walmart version of my 19X, and then see how they compare. So 19X, I have the Radian Ramjet. On here, I'm going to be throwing Parker Mountain machining compensator. And then Timney Alpha trigger I have on the 19X. I'm going to be throwing Timney Alpha on the Dagger. I'll keep the TLR1 HL. I run X300 on my 19X. I do prefer the X300, but price point, I don't want to go too crazy, more crazy than I'm already going with on a $300 gun. Optic, I'll be running an RMR Type 2 adjustable. So all the modifications are going to be way more than what the gun itself is worth. But we'll see how it shoots after the modifications. Stay tuned for that video. I'll put out a video, probably like a Gucci Dagger video or something. Moving down to the frame itself, like I mentioned, I do put grip tape on pretty much all my guns just because I like a little more aggressive texture when I'm clamping down on the gun to kind of keep it more stable and manage recoil a little better. But the grip texture that comes on the Dagger when it's stock is not bad. I do prefer it to a stock Glock frame. Still, I would like more grip texture. That's why I put grip tape on. And then let's go down, talk about the magwell. This is SLR Rifle Works Dagger magwell. I think they're the only company I found so far that makes a Dagger magwell, so that's why I went them. And then SLR Rifle Works magazine extension for the Magpul mags. So looks pretty well. They complement each other pretty well. Overall, I was very happy with this gun, especially for the price point, $345. In my opinion, this is probably the best sub 350, maybe even sub 400 gun that you can, or pistol that you can get on the market. I was very happy with it. At the time of when we shot the shooting footage, I think I only had 250-ish rounds, 250, maybe 300-ish rounds on the gun. At the time of we're shooting this talking footage, I'm at about 600 rounds in the gun in total. I haven't had a single malfunction. I did notice, like I said, the spring rate up here seemed pretty stiff, but just locking it back like this, storing like that, kind of seems to soften that spring rate a little bit. So I think it is oversprung from the factory. Understandable, most guns are oversprung from the factory. But again, overall, I can't complain. It seems to function like a Glock. Probably not as reliable as a Glock, given you get what you pay for. But for the price, it's found itself to be pretty reliable for me. By the time I get the modifications on and then we shoot the modification video, I'll be past 1,000 rounds. I'm very sure I'll be past 1,000 rounds. Probably be around the 1,500 round range. So I'll give you guys an update on how it's performed.
I forgot to switch hands.
All right, guys, that's the Dagger review. Hope you guys liked it. I highly recommend picking up a Dagger for yourself if you have the money to spare. Very cheap, very affordable. I wouldn't get it as a first gun. I would get something more proven and reliable, like a normal Glock. 19X, 45, 19, 17, something along those lines. That's what I would recommend, a full-size Glock as a first pick if you're looking at a Dagger. If money's tight, I don't think compromising for a Dagger I don't think it's something you'll regret. I've been very happy with this. I think Palmetto has a decent customer service program. I'm not too sure, but from what I've heard, I'm not too sure. I can't confirm it, but from what I've read on the internet, they have a decent customer service program. Any of you guys, if you have experience with Palmetto State and their customer service, definitely leave a comment below. Let me know how it goes. If you pick up a Dagger, leave a comment below. Let me know how you like it, or maybe if you have a Dagger, what you don't like about it, if you don't like something. Let's talk about this Cogworks bag real quick. I did say in my last video that I was going to be shooting a review for this. I did. It is on the Cogworks channel. We'll link the description, or we'll link it in the description below, and then you guys can check it out. I'm pretty happy with it. I have it on me a lot of times when I don't feel like carrying a gun on my belt line. All right, guys. Thanks for checking out the channel. Stay tuned for the next stuff that we're going to be reviewing. It's either going to be this Parker Mountain machining comp on M18 or lead and steel Pandora. I'm very excited for this optic. It's closed emitter similar to Aimpoint Acro. We're going to be doing torture tests on this, throwing it around, seeing if it holds zero, showing actual hits on target, not just on a steel silhouette. You guys can't really tell where it's hitting on a steel silhouette. You just know that's hitting somewhere on steel. We'll actually we'll use NRA B8 target, put it at 25 yards. Hit the optic, throw it around, take the slide off the gun, throw it around, see if it holds zero, stuff like that. Other thing we're going to be doing is this Brower M1811 grip module. I've shot it for some time now. I'm very happy with it. We'll get some shooting footage and then do a review. But long story short, I'm happy with this grip module. I have 0 rounds through the Pandora, so I can't give you any opinion on that yet. But just based off of how it feels, how it looks, how the dot presents, I've been pretty happy with it. We'll see if it holds up to the torture test though. As always, guys, like and subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know if you guys have opinions on anything. Thanks for checking out the channel.